Okay, how many of you out there have wills? I might be guilty of not having one in place. What happens to your children if you do pass away and you don't have a will? What about your assets? Well, here to answer these questions and more is Gretchen Olson from her law firm, Eberhardt Olson. Thanks so much for joining us, Gretchen.
Absolutely, Nancy. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so tell me, there's a couple of questions here that I have. What is a revocable trust? And can people in Colorado have that and not a will, or is a will sufficient?
Right. I mean, good question to ask. With Colorado, we look to the Colorado probate code, a part of the Colorado statutes that say what happens to your assets when you pass away. So, with the Colorado probate code, the Colorado law would direct where your assets go if you do no planning.
Okay.
So certainly we want to do planning. So then the next question typically is, do I need a revocable living trust, which I've heard of, or should I go with a will?
Yeah.
A revocable living trust is where you transfer your assets into the name of the trust. So instead of having them in the name of, for instance, Gretchen E. Olson, you transfer them into the Gretchen E. Olson Revocable Trust. Like a will, it tells us what to do with your assets when you're no longer here, and it names a trustee to be in charge of handling those assets.
Got it.
So the problem with a revocable living trust is people typically don't keep it fully funded. So if we do a will, is that sufficient?
Yeah.
The good news is we're Colorado residents, because Colorado is a beautiful state, but also we have a very simplified probate code. So unlike other states like California, New York, Florida, where they have more archaic laws in place, the Colorado probate code makes it pretty simple to go through probate. So the good news is with a will, most people are fully covered in Colorado.
So Gretchen, what does it mean for someone to have to go through probate court? What does that mean?
Very good question, Nancy. Actually, probate court is how we handle an estate when someone passes away. So again, under the Colorado probate laws, very simplified process. When someone passes away, the personal representative files about 5 documents with the probate court in the county where the decedent resided at the time of their death.
Okay.
The clerk of the court actually issues the order, and then the personal representative goes around and gathers up the asset without further court involvement. So there are no hearings unless there's a dispute in the estate that cannot be resolved. Typically, if there's a dispute, we do everything to resolve the dispute. And so typically, we do not see a judge when we go through probate in Colorado.
Got it, got it. Now, I'm a mom with 2 small children. Is there anything that I should know about or do?
You know, in my opinion, the most important thing you can do with your post-death planning is naming a guardian to physically raise your children until they turn 18.
Yeah.
So until we're 18, we need a guardian. So when clients call our office, we tell them, come up with a primary and a backup or 2. So usually a list of 3, primary and a couple backups, in case your first choice can't serve.
Sure, exactly. Or maybe they've passed away in the meantime. That's
Right.
That sort of a situation. Now, what about if I'm in an accident and I become incapacitated, but I don't die?
Right. I mean, that's a good question because we want to avoid having to go to court in that scenario and having the court appoint a guardian to make healthcare decisions for you or a conservator to handle your financial affairs. So what we do now for what I call pre-death planning is set up an economic durable power of attorney and a medical durable power of attorney so that somebody, when we become incapacitated or we're out of the country, can step into our shoes, manage our financial affairs, and also, if we become incapacitated, manage our healthcare decisions.
Okay, there's a lot of great questions here and a lot of answers, and I'm sure you could go on in depth. So Gretchen, if somebody wanted to give you a call through the show, you are offering a free consultation on the phone. What number do they need to call for Eberhardt Olson?
Absolutely. Please call 303-972-4411. Typically, my paralegal, Julie, will answer the phone, and so she can let me know that you've called through the show, and then I will call you back at my earliest convenience.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gretchen.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nancy.